Welcome to Off the Hanger. This week's guest is personal stylist Emmeline Stevens. Now, if I could ask a quick favour before we start, if you enjoy this episode, please remember to like and subscribe or give this a follow and a rating. Thank you. Emmeline, thanks so much for being part of Off the Hanger. It is lovely to talk to you this morning.
Good to see you. Good to meet you today. Thank you for having me here.
Now, you work as a personal stylist, but also you're a mentor for other stylists, which I think is such a fabulous role to have. Have you always been into fashion?
Yeah, I've worked in fashion like my whole life, pretty much. Ever since I left college, I got into visual merchandising. That was my first kind of introduction to how to put clothes together for mannequins, basically, not real people. And I followed my kind of like fashion career ever since that point. So I went from visual merchandising into brand development and then had children. You know, very brief story goes, had children, wanted to do something for myself, didn't want to work in fashion anymore and wanted to work with real human beings, making a difference, you know, using the skills I had, making a difference to real people. You know, that was really the personal stylist calling.
I love that. And were you into fashion as a child? Have you got an earliest childhood memory about fashion?
Yeah, well, I'm going to actually just show you a couple of images on my phone because, funnily enough, I've got a little bit of a story about this. It was my I still have a grandma, which is lovely, and she's 100. She's just turned 100, and so me and my dad were going through pictures the other day, and I realised I kind of had to snap some of these pictures because, you know, olden days we just had hard copies of pictures. We didn't have actually, you know, phones and things like that. So my early I don't know if I've just wiped fashion memories from my brain, but I guess my childhood, I remember being a tomboy. I remember being not necessarily intentionally dressing like a boy, just being more attracted to clothes. Like, let me give you a sort of typical example. I had short hair, so I would have started out like the pretty little, you know. So this just goes to show I'm a natural blonde, by the way, and then you can see it there. And then, so, you know, my mum would have dressed me, you know, quite pretty, and then, you know, some really dodgy kind of like try and get the reflection off there. And then, you know, like this is me and my sister. So she wasn't so much of a tomboy as I was. So those, and then of course, you know, you go into, that's me just at the front there, you go into that would have been the 90s, I think. And, you know, like everyone else, all through all of the kind of hair trends, the fashion, well, not really so much the fashion trends, both my sister and I are creative. And I guess we went through stages of exploring that creativity. And the thing is, like, our parents, my dad's actually transgender, and made a change later in life, but always knew that there was something a bit different. And so neither of our parents never really enforced anything on us. Everything was really our choice when it came to clothes, especially. You know, you wear what makes you feel good, you wear what you like. If that's what you want to wear those clothes. So I think, you know, we just kind of like made, because we were quite creative in ourselves, we just kind of made our own rules, you know, as kids. And yeah, we were kind of led by our peers, people were surrounded by groups and stuff like that. But we were very much kind of like made our own sort of things up, dressing up all the time. You know, we always had in our family somewhere, mostly at my grand's house, a dressing up box. So I guess I wouldn't have assigned the word fashion to what we were doing. It was exploring our creativity, I think, you know, and just being the people that we wanted to be. And I clearly chose to be a tomboy. And that's really reflective actually now, later in life, of the way that I dress and how I choose my clothes. It's much more androgynous, and it's, you know, there's masculine edges, I guess, but, you know, there's got to be a touch of femininity, you know, to my outfit a lot of the time as well. So yeah, my memories are very faded until I look at those photos, and then I go, yeah, the theme is tomboy, really. And there's a pink jacket actually that my dad said to me the other day. You would not let go of that pink jacket. It was so grubby. You wouldn't even take it off your back to have it washed. It was disgusting. So that was like, it wouldn't happen now. But, clearly I was, attached to certain items of clothing, I think, as we were growing up. So yeah, that's really where it stemmed from.
And what a fabulous thing for your parents to instill in you about making choices that made you feel good. I know with my son I'm very much the same. As much as I like to try and guide him into wearing things that I think, oh, that looks nice, that'd go really good, he'd look great in that. It is very much like, if he wants to wear that, he wears that. Because to me, there shouldn't be such gender stereotypes within clothes. It should just be clothes are clothes, and you just wear what you like. It's not about which department it came from.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that's all I've known is gender separation. In close since I was born, obviously, and years and years before. When we're looking at obviously the history of fashion, it is that sort of separation of genders when it comes to clothes. And obviously our bodies are different, and clothes have to be tailored and made in a different way to suit that person. Not everybody wants to wear something fitted. Not everybody wants to wear something that's slim fitting or oversized, or whatever. And I think just having that kind of like choice of clothes, or within the fabrics that we want, in the colors that we want, in whatever fit we want to, like I'm very much a sort of advocate for being who we want to be and dressing the way we want to. And I think quite often I did still, when my dad was dressing as male, and that was up until I was probably in my early 20s, and then the full transition, and him coming out, I guess, was in that stage. So a good sort of 20 years ago. And I would sometimes just put some of my dad's t-shirts on and wouldn't think anything of the fact that they were man's clothes. So I guess we didn't have to conform to certain standards in my household. We didn't have to we were just kind of allowed to be who we want to be. And I think that's really important, I think, to guide, but to allow that person to make their own sort of choices and decisions. But you're right, we are restricted sometimes in that.
We are, and I do think it's something that society needs to move on with. It's always been, you know, obviously in our era, more acceptable for women to wear men's clothes, to dress in a masculine way, to wear masculine pieces, to shop in the men's department. But it's not necessarily been reciprocated in the other way, that for men it's always been acceptable for them to dress in, women's thing, what's seen as women's things. So I love that you have kind of these modern icons, people like Harry Styles, who do very clearly like the idea of gender fluid fashion and will dress in those pieces. And I think definitely, the more we can move towards it being clothes are clothes and you just wear what you like, regardless of who it's supposed to be for, I think the better it will be. But yeah, I love that your parents brought you up in that way, to just pick the things that brought you joy and that you loved. Have you got an oldest fashion item in your wardrobe? What's the oldest piece you've got?
I don't have, like, number one, I don't have lots of old items. Okay, and I'll explain more about that a little bit later. I have a couple of things that I'm going to show you, and this will definitely bring back memories and I know lots of people that kind of jumped on this kind of like trend or whatever. So do you recognize this chain? Because we all went through a little bit of a time with Tiffany, didn't we? And I actually had this on earlier and it was too blimmin' heavy, and I was like, I can't even keep this on, it's so heavy, like I can't even feel this one, but this, so we kind of, and I've got the bracelets and everything, and I don't think it was even my choice to purchase sets, because I'm not a set wearing person, and I'm not a coordinated kind of person a lot of the time, although I think people would disagree. But I really love this in its time, and I had this, there's a bit of a story to some of my jewellery, which I'm not going to share all of it. But when I moved to London, so I live in the southwest of the UK at the moment, and I actually, my visual merchandising job, I was working with Laura Ashley, and I moved to London. The opportunity became available, moved to London with them, and I was dressing the huge windows on Regent Street of where Laura Ashley works now, and other stories, and huge windows, and that was I remember, the time, because I remember the team that I was working in at the time. it was just the thing that, you know, you kind of just had to have one of these iconic kind of like necklaces. And of course they've done the rounds, haven't they? It was very much a thing then, and then they came back again a little bit more recently. And of course, you know, this sort of chain you know, thing is very much a kind of trend at the moment, even if it is like really quite weighty. So that's probably got to be like one of my oldest. And like I said, I've got, you know, the bracelets and things. But another two things I want to show you now. This little case, just I don't know if you can see it, but it's Gucci. I'm not a Gucci person. I've got to, you know, add that disclaimer. I'm not a high designer kind of like person, and this was very much an influence purchase. So look at these, they're very I would say probably like David Bowie-esque. I don't know, that look at the size of them, they're tiny. I don't think I've worn them since I was, I don't know, was I in my late teens or early 20s, and it was very much an influence purchase because of the people that I was surrounded by. And, you know, you need a pair of sunglasses. And, you know, I just decided one day that even if I couldn't afford it, because I was living in London, super high rent rate, super low wage, you know, whatever. And of course, but I still had these in my clutches. Only because I was influenced. So they've got to be probably the oldest thing. But like I said, they're tucked away, and they don't see the light of day. Probably the oldest thing I've got in my wardrobe, they don't see the light of day because we don't get sunshine. That's probably why it is more than anything. No, I don't think they're not very me, and they're not very much a sort of trend thing, you know. So I probably wouldn't. If my Tiffany necklace was lighter, I'd probably be wearing that a lot more, because I still really like that. Are literally the oldest items I've got, and then there's kind of like no in between. So you know, it's either I don't keep things really unless they deserve a place in the wardrobe. Like everything in my wardrobe has to be there for a reason, has to be there because I love it and I'm going to wear it again, or I'm going to use it, or I'm going to keep it for sentimental reasons. But I'm not a hoarder of lots of sentimental items. I'd rather just have things in there that I love, because the thing is, we evolve. And I do feel like, you know, that you're going to love things at different times of your life. And clearly, when people take photos of you, like, you know, my parents having kept them, then you can just look at the photos. You know, you don't have to keep all the items from like a million years ago. So, yeah, those.
What's the piece in your wardrobe that gets the most compliments?
So probably I put this green suit on for you today. This is just like a trouser suit, really basic. It's a French Connection, but it's a lovely rich colour. You'll see it on like my social profiles and stuff. I love it because it's just so vibrant and it's just so lifting. There's probably the thing that gets most compliments is not my clothes, it's my hair. And that's the funny thing. So I can pretty much put whatever I want, and I would almost every day somebody comes up to me. They can be over 60, they can be over 70, they can be over 80, you know, and so many people say that, and you wouldn't necessarily think so today. But like a lot of people say, because I've got this contrast like in my hair, where I've got this in my natural dark colour and then this other colour, so many people just go, I really love your hair. And, you know, again, I'm like, it's not really that exciting, but it's different to the way that most people would wear their hair, maybe. So I guess it's the hair that goes that most people kind of look at. But it's when I'm wearing a vibrant colour, high contrast, you know, tends to work quite well for me. So it's when I've got those kind of like vibrant, maybe high contrast colours that attracts probably the most attention. If I'm mixing with people in our industry, the things that get the most attention are either the things that are on trend, or the now things, or the things that have got like leopard print on, for example. So that is another item. So this is like an All Saints coat from, I don't know, like early lockdown, I think that was. So maybe 2019-20. And, you know, as soon as you put a leopard on it, everybody loves it. I mean, I love it. I love a leopard. But yeah, so that's probably, you know, one of the items that gets most compliments. Anything colourful. In fact, I've got leopards on my feet today as well. So yeah, usually, you know, something like this, you know. I do like wearing a suit. I do like wearing tailored pieces. And I think, you know, when you're wearing something that you feel good in, other people see the response, they see your body language. And so it doesn't actually matter quite so much about what it is that you're wearing, but they see the confidence in you and they see your body language, and then they make the compliment. I love how you look. And sometimes I can't pinpoint exactly what they like about your look. And it might just be the whole combination together and the fact that you're carrying yourself differently. And that's the thing, that's the power of clothes, isn't it? Like, you don't have to be going out there bold and coloured, and I don't, you know, like every single day, as you can see, you know, because it's not like the colours are folded away, you know, most of them in the drawers. So, you know, you don't have to be bold and vibrant every single day. It's just wearing that thing that makes you feel good, that helps you then carry yourself differently, that then people just kind of like see that, they sense that, they feel that energy from you, and then it makes them happy because they can see you happy in the way that you are. So, I mean, that's what I find so fascinating about clothes.
That's exactly right. It's how you've put something together, how it's made you feel, and then you just radiate that, and then, as you say, that brings in the compliments. Now, are you somebody who likes to spend a lot of money on your clothes? Do you have a most expensive piece?
So my most expensive item is also the dirtiest item in my it's not even, it doesn't even sit in my wardrobe. It sits by the front door. I have a dog. I go dog walking, and it's cold and it's sometimes windy. And whatever happens, you know, he's a lab, he's a Labrador, so you know we've got to go on proper walks. We can't just be like skipping down the road, and you know we want to be going across fields and wellies and stuff like that. So I was like, I'm gonna have a good coat. So I'm going to have a warm coat and a waterproof coat. Warm and waterproof don't often go together.
No.
Like, retailers need to do something about this, because warm and waterproof, how many waterproof coats are out there, and they're just thin waterproof coats? Whereas this one, so this is, it's a bit bougie, it's Holland Cooper, and you know I would have not bought it for the branding on the back. I would have liked that not to be there. But it gets hidden by the hood most of the time, so we're fine. And so this has got like a fur lining. Excuse me, there's just a Zara. I don't know why there's a Zara jumper underneath it. But this is waterproof. It's got a faux fur lining. Honestly, it's the softest thing. It's the most comfortable thing. It's the warmest thing, and it's waterproof. And it's honestly the biggest. This is where I'm so boring. I'm like, you know, get more excited about a coat that I go dog walking in than anything else. But you know, that wasn't you know a super cheap item, but it's an item that was well worth the money, because it's had so many trips and it's done exactly the job that it needed to do. So yeah, otherwise, you know, like I've got brands like, I guess, All Saints, Couples, you know, like again, their cheap t-shirts aren't your average kind of like cheap t-shirt. This is Massimo Dutti, you know, not cheap. So I guess, you know, I like to buy, and again, I'm really fussy about the neckline on t-shirts, about the quality of the t-shirts, you know, and how things are made. So, you know, those things kind of come into, I guess, my buying decisions. Ted Baker, Couples, All Six, yeah. So I've got a real mix of those. Well, that's an old Top Shop, and yeah, just kind of brands like that, I guess.
I think that's great, though. I think that's really great, though, because it is a piece that you wear over and over and over again, and it's really practical. And I think sometimes we can get led down the path of buying a really expensive piece, whether that's a bag or a pair of shoes or a dress or whatever, that don't get the amount of wear that they deserve. And I'm also a Labrador owner, so I feel your pain. I'm also trudging through muddy fields in the depths of winter, and I'm the same. I bought some, well, my husband bought them for me for Christmas a couple of years ago, some like river boots, and they weren't cheap. They weren't like just buying basic wellies, but they're so good, they're so warm, they keep my feet dry, and they're just an essential thing to have if you've got a big dog and you've got to go out walking all the time.
I need that brand name, because, like, again, it's like, you know, those things are really hard to find, you know, walking in wellies. And again, it's such a boring conversation, isn't it? But walking in wellies, unless you've got thick socks, you know, then you're going to get blisters. They might keep your feet dry, but they're not for walking, you know, miles and miles. So, yeah, I feel your pain. Good outdoor wear.
Exactly. Labrador owners unite. Fashionable Labrador owners unite. We've all got the struggle.
Yeah, I I know. Gotta have the waterproof things.
What's the newest piece in your wardrobe?
Well, actually, these are my shopping habits. I buy what I love when I feel I need something, or a replacement of something. Like a lot of people might say, you've got a lot of clothes. Like my sister looks at my wardrobe and she's like, you've got so many clothes. And I really don't. And I can justify every single piece in my wardrobe. So, little shopping trip recently, not an intended one. I rarely get intended shopping trips. So I go with my intuition a lot in terms of, if I see it and I love it instantly, and I know that I'm going to wear it, like instantly know I'm going to wear it, then it's definitely a purchase. So this season, we've got a lot of basic items in the stores, tailored items, quite luxury is the keywords. But we've got some great tailored items. We've got neutral colours. We've got basics, and we've got a little bit more of a quality looking edge, even to fast fashion stores. So all of those kind of four things really float my boat. That sort of like encapsulates a lot of my kind of like style personality, I would say. So the newest item, dare I say it, love it or hate it, it's from Zara. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to make something up and go, oh, it's this fancy new thing or whatever. But do you know what it is? And no, it's still got the tags on. I haven't worn it yet because I just haven't had the opportunity, and I probably should have worn it today. So the good old waistcoat, Oh my god, this is not something for me that will be a trend. This is something that sits really nicely in my personality, and it will be worn again and again and again. And it might even be, like have like a pink kind of border on it at some point. I might just get somebody to sew one of those on there just to make it a little bit more me and a bit more unique. But of course I've got the trousers to go with it as well. And one of my friends who actually works for another brand, I won't say, apparently a lot of them bought into, she told me that they bought into this suit, and people were asking, I can't remember if they were customers or whatever, if this suit was actually from their much higher end of the high street brand, and it's not. So this, it's not lined. They need taking up. They are quite long. I'm not tall. So that's good. They've got to be tailored before I can wear those trousers. But yeah, again, this really sort of is nothing fancy, but it's something that I will make work for me. So yeah, so that's the newest item that set, I guess, that I knew that I would love as soon as I saw it.
Now, earlier you said that you're not very sentimental when it comes to clothes. You don't tend to hang on to things. But do you have something in your wardrobe you would consider your most sentimental piece?
Again, this is not clothes, actually. This kind of comes out every now and then. I can't put on. It's a very blingy Swarovski kind of ring. And it's really beautiful. It's quite big, and I'm always worried about like knocking it on things. I didn't know where my glass one is going. Like, I never wear that. Like, it's just not me. Like, it's a proper, again, it's Swarovski, so that went through a bit of a phase of wearing these big kind of like Swarovski rings, but probably the most sentimental, like, look at the size of this ring. It's probably actually, this is the most expensive, tiniest piece, not an item of clothing. Like, again, accessories to me, I don't have lots of accessories, but accessories are key. And I tend to go, again, as you can see, quite sort of basic, a bit Tiffany there as well, quite sort of basic, understated, but sometimes like with a bit of a quirk or a statement or something. But this is actually an old engagement ring, not engaged now, but it was actually passed down from my step grandmother, I think it was. My stepmom really wanted me to have this ring, and it was big. It was the size of my thumb, so I had to have it resized, and it's absolutely tiny. It does fit. It's very small. It's not the kind of style that personally I would choose, but it's got just these really beautiful diamonds in there, and yeah, it's worth quite a bit of money. So that I just keep very safe in it, and probably is the most sentimental kind of thing that I've got in there. Yeah, I'm not very sentimental, I guess, with my clothes. Just there are just one or two of these things that I've shown you today, that are just items that remind me of stuff. Whether I'm going to wear them again or not is another thing.
Is there a piece in your wardrobe you would say most sums you up?
Something that really sums me up, then it probably is something that's actually could be one of these two pieces, or like this is an old Topshop, and it gets so many people love this colour, and I love this colour. It's my brand colour as well, so, or my brand highlight colour. And the only thing is, this is in my wardrobe and it doesn't fit me. Like, it's this rail actually sits in the corner of my bedroom, and when I realise that something has kind of reached the end of its life in my wardrobe, it goes on the dreaded white rail. And when it's on the dreaded white rail, it knows it's going to go to a new home. So this is one of those pieces, because, and one of the reasons, like that I don't have I don't have a high turn of clothes, but I don't have lots of old clothes, is because, you know, like as with everyone, we go through these fluctuations in our lives. So I after childbirth actually found it quite difficult to lose the weight after childbirth. I went into a complete black hole. I lost all my confidence. I think I had undiagnosed postnatal depression. You know, wasn't much sort of talked about. My eldest daughter was nearly 19, so, you know, it was a little while ago. And I just wore head to toe black, because, and this was just before I started my business, and I knew that I had to make a change. And when I made a change to myself, I knew that I could help other people do exactly that. And that was another reason for me to, and I felt like my journey in fashion had kind of come to the end of its life, and that I wanted to do something based on this experience that I had to help other people. And so I really had to come out of my black hole, and literally you wouldn't even know who I was, because I'm not a black-wearing person. If you look at my childhood, look at my teens, look at my 20s, and then all of a sudden something shifted and something changed. I didn't know who I was anymore. And that's why I just kind of like went into this kind of like, you know, all I can call it is a black hole, because, you know, just felt like I didn't want people to see me. I didn't want to kind of anyone to kind of notice, you know, like who I was or anything, until I think I found the confidence in myself. And, you know, sometimes in our lives we feel that way, and we just think, you know, we're just going to carry on the way that we're doing things. And there was something, a glimmer of light, something someday that kind of turns your head, and then you go, no, I'm going to do something about that, or that's just made me change the way I think or the way that I feel, and I'm going to do something different. And then when I started doing that, I started enjoying my clothes again. I started investing in colour again. And of course, you know, like when I invested in the training course to do personal styling, you know, that's when my world of colour kind of opened again. And then I started, you know, sort of breathing a little bit more life into my wardrobe and who I was. But of course, you know, like that was just the earlier stage of sort of weight fluctuation. The weight fluctuation isn't huge, but to the point of you can go from one dress size to another and feel really uncomfortable in your clothes. And so I've got 3 children, and the last child that came along was in 2015. And I loved my wardrobe before that. After childbirth, completely the opposite. Didn't put on the weight. I lost loads and loads of weight, and then was super skinny to the point I felt uncomfortable. That didn't have an eating problem or anything. It was just, I don't know, hormones, energy levels, you know, whatever. So I had to start but I was like, okay, well, this is fine. You know, we'll just new items again that are going to fit and suit this body shape and this size. And then slowly after that point, weight has kind of gone back on again. And, you know, I'm in my just above my mid 40s, and many women who will be watching this will know, you know, the kind of things that we go through and the body changes that we go through that then make us feel not so confident in our clothes again. And, you know, I've shifted from and squeezed, and this is a good example, myself into, you know, things like this, to the point where I've gone, I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel like me. I love the colour, I love the coat. The size doesn't love me anymore. And the thing is, and of course I see it in wardrobes all the time, we hang on to stuff. We hang on to stuff because we think, I really like that person and I really want to get into those clothes again. And the reality for many women, not everybody, but for many women, is that there are some things that you just can't control at certain stages of your life. There are certain things you can, and you can, you know, really try your best to do, and make those changes. But if you're doing everything that you can within your control and things still aren't changing, then there's something else that's got to change, not a let's just hold on to it just in case I can get back into it. So, you know, lots of items I've let go for those reasons, whether it's gaining weight, whether it's losing weight, and just gone, well, look, I've just got to move forward, and this is what I've got right this minute. And I, you know, my clothes are important to me. But, you know, it's okay to just, you know, like I said, we evolve as creatures, don't we? And we evolve with the times, we evolve with society, but we evolve in ourselves as well. And we've got to sort of go through, I think as women especially, these times of rediscovery with ourselves and with our wardrobes. And even when you hang on to stuff, you know, and because I've done it with so many women so much, like when we hang on to stuff, even if we did reach, let's say, that goal of, you know, losing a stone or whatever, just being very stereotypical here, even if we did, would we actually want to go back to those items in our wardrobe and go, I really love those? Or are we going to go, oh, no, now this, you know, I've reached my goal and I'm going to celebrate and I'm just going to buy myself a really fancy new dress, you know, whatever it is that floats your boat. You know, so there are, I've only kept hold of things, hence the pink jacket, that I would absolutely wear if I could. But now I'm at a stage where the likelihood is my body shape has changed. It's not so much about the weight, but my shape has changed so much that I probably won't be wearing that again. And so it will be going to a new home when it can find a new home. And so, yeah, that kind of extended an answer to your question. But the thing that probably sums me up is either colourful, or it's probably something like this: a jacket, a bomber, a blazer, even, you know, like I've got quite a number of blazers, and I love all the blazers. I love my white blazer, I love my grey blazer, I've got a teal blazer. Like, I literally couldn't tell you which one I love the most. It's like, you can't say, you know, which one of your children do you love the most? Right, you can, but you can't. So I can't do that by my person.
And I do think you're right. I do think it's so important that clothes have a massive impact on us and how we feel, but we're not beholden to them. We shouldn't have to hang on to these things. We owe these clothes nothing. They're not sentient beings. They don't have feelings. So yes, if there was a dress that you once upon a time felt fabulous in when you were a size 8, but now you're a size 14, get rid of that dress and buy something now that makes you feel fabulous. Don't cling to the idea of that dress, because that's not who you are as a person anymore. Go out and find something that makes you feel great and fabulous now.
Yeah, you're right. You know, and it doesn't have to be something new. It can be something borrowed, it can be something old, it can be something from a charity show. You know, it doesn't have to be like, it can be new to you. Do you know what I always say? I just thought of this. I always say to my clients, what would you rescue in a fire? Like if right now everything was taken care of except like your clothes, and what would you actually rescue? And I actually think it would be my dog coat. It would probably be I was just thinking, would it be the other sentimental items? Maybe. But yeah, I would just be, as long as I'm warm and dry, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I don't have a home. I would be thinking logically about it. So I'd be thinking like, warm, dry, fine. That's all you need. Because at the end of the day, everything else, while we attach memories to things, we're always going to have those memories. You know, mostly always going to have those memories. So the physical thing, the actual item, the material thing, I'm not a materialistic person, you know, and so it's really about the feeling that these things bring you.
And you are completely right. It doesn't have to be new. It has to, you know, I'm really into renting. I rent out things from my wardrobe, but I rent things from other people's wardrobes because, yes, I want to wear that fabulous thing, but do I want to spend all that money and own that fabulous thing? No, probably not. And is it something that I'm going to wear over and over again? No. So I'm going to just rent it, and then I get to wear it, feel fantastic, make those memories wearing that thing, but then it goes back to its original owner. So I think, yeah, you're really right. It doesn't have to be new to you. It can be pre-loved, it can be borrowed, it can be rented. It's, you know. Are you somebody who ever has a wardrobe malfunction or a fashion faux pas? I am a quite well-known disaster when it comes to these things, and so they happen to me all the time. But would you like to join my club?
Oh my God. I reckon, I don't know, what is a fashion faux pas? Because the thing is, like, sometimes I put together, like, clothes that don't quite work. And I've had people say to me before, like, that doesn't really work, but you make it work. And I'm like, I don't know if that's a backhanded, like, compliment or insult. I'm not really sure. Like, and some, you know, like, I'm quite coordinated today, but I don't really always care that much about, like, the way that I dress in the morning often is dictated by the weather. Probably, you know, like I've spoken about the weather so many times. But it literally, you know, like I need to be warm because I'm always cold, so I need to be warm. So, you know, that's the first thing that kind of crops into my mind. Then I just kind of like literally just kind of go, can't pre-plan. So that's in can't pre-plan my wardrobe. That always goes wrong. So that if I pre-plan, that's when I get the faux pas probably. And I literally just kind of go, what do I feel like? What do I want to wear? What colour? You know, so colour kind of comes into my mind. And then I'm just kind of like, I fancy wearing that, or I fancy wearing that, I fancy being just a bit more bold. And the two might not even work together, but so what? So sometimes I can just sort of put stuff and go, it probably doesn't even look right, but I kind of don't care. I mean, the wardrobe so basically probably doesn't really make that much of a difference. But one particular occasion I do remember feeling, was I embarrassed about the way I look? I wouldn't say embarrassed, it's just where I was at the time. I just had my second child, and my very selfish friend got married. Like, she's a really good friend, and you know, it wasn't a case of like I could just like, I really don't feel like me. I literally had my child 4 weeks before that, so we all know what our bodies feel like, and they don't just like bounce back. I'll never remember actually, after my first child, I was in Wimbledon, and I think she was a few days old, got into the lift, and a lady said to me in the lift, she was like, oh, you know, like, lovely baby. And she looked at me and she said, oh, you're pregnant again. And I looked at her and I was like horrified. And I was like, no, I've just had a baby. The belly is still there. Anyway, so that was the most, one of the most horrific things that probably sent me into my kind of like postnatal depression. But yeah, the story I'm telling is, you know, after my second child, and you know, and actually I bounced back quite quickly, but not after 4 weeks. So 4 weeks I was still carrying quite a bit of weight. So of course, it's a very difficult transitional time. You know, you're still wearing maternity wear, but you're not pregnant. It sort of doesn't fit properly, but it sort of fits okay. You obviously aren't getting into your pre-pregnant clothes, and you don't really want to buy lots of new clothes because you know this is just a transitional time. And so it was really difficult. So I think I ran to I think it was Coast in the end to get a dress. Like, in hindsight, I don't know why. It was obviously my baby brain just kind of went, you need to wear a dress, you're going to a wedding. I didn't think I don't need to wear a dress. I just thought I need to wear a dress, I'm going to a wedding. So I think it was sale time, quite fortunate. So again, I knew that if I was going to buy something, then I want to kind of like pass it on to another home. And I bought this dress in Coast. Unfortunately, I don't have a photo because honestly, like, looking back at the photos, it wasn't even like my baby brain was somewhere else. Didn't even suit me. It was a shift dress. It was sort of a shift dress with a shift shape with sort of basically 2 straps, and it was just like a rounded person. All I could see was just this person that I didn't really know. So I didn't really think about dodging photos. I got in the photos because obviously she wanted us to and everything else. But it was probably, I don't know if that would be a fashion faux pas, but that's a time that I can think of where I really looked back and went, wow, why did you choose that dress? Why did you wear that? Why did you think you should have had to wear a dress? I don't think I've ever told my friend this, so she might find out. But it was just, and it wasn't even colourful. It was black and white. It was mostly white, of course, with black embroidery, sort of detail, whatever. And yeah, I'd lost my mind. I literally lost my mind. I could show you a photo, but I kind of do not want to show you a photo because It's just one of the most horrific things that I just went, wow. I mean, other people might be able to say, no, I've definitely seen your fashion faux pas and it's this, or this. I don't know. But yeah, that's the one that really kind of like stands out.
We'll leave that one in the archive. No photographic evidence required. We trust you on that one. It was not your best moment. We can put it down to baby brain. Baby brain is a very powerful, disruptive, hideous things that makes us make very poor choices, and that dress can just be one of those. Now, is there a dream fashion item that you're lusting after? Something that you don't have in your wardrobe that you would love to own regardless of price?
The long and short answer is no, because I'm not a lusty kind of like I said earlier, I suppose my if I see something and I love it, then I'll usually find a way to get it. If that means I have to work super hard to kind of get that thing, but I don't lust after like really high value kind of items, you know. I think the thing actually, these kind of popped up on my I don't know, like they do, or like on your Instagram feed or something like that, and I just went, oh wow, I love them, I really want to have those. And then they appeared in that blue box that you can just see above my wardrobe. I might see that on my doorstep, and my darling now ex actually had them delivered to me, and it's these trainers. They're a little bit grubby, should give them a clean, but every time I put these trainers on, these are probably some of the most one of the most complimented items actually. So many people, and even dog walker said to me, oh, where are those shoes from? I love those shoes. And she kind of went off in search of these shoes, and they're just like Hoff brand, you know, whatever, and they're just so colourful, and I'm just like, and quite often I have multicoloured nails, and quite often they're these kind of colours. So these I really knew as soon as I saw them that they were very much a piece of me, and I lusted after. But the actual story I was going to tell you was not so much an item that I have lusted after and still do. There is a female tailor on Savile Row. I believe her name's Daisy. And she has opened I want to say maybe 2 or 3 years ago, a shop called the Deck London, and she makes the most beautiful tailored pieces for women. I love everything that her and her brand stand for, and that she's making this wedge in what has traditionally been a man's world, and I'm very much an advocate for women doing things like this and supporting women doing things like this, but also the attention to detail and the fabrics that she uses and the outcome of all of the items are absolutely divine. They're absolutely beautiful. And being somebody who is a bit of a lover of, you know, jackets, blazers, suits, I think if you were to say to me, like, you know, you can have anything right now, I would be marching down Savile Row and I would be booking in that appointment to have a suit made. I don't know. I often think, what design would I go for? And the thing is, I think I go through little waves of the way that I like my clothes to fit. Like at the moment, so any of my older clothes that might still be hanging around, if they are too close to fit, in fact I pulled out a piece of knitwear yesterday and it was just too close fitting, and I was like, this is not me, I don't feel right in this, I need to put an oversized kind of jumper on. And so, you know, the fit that I would probably want now might be different to the fit I want in 10 years time, and the look that I would want in 10 years time. But I think, you know, if I really was lusting after something, it would be a bespoke tailored suit, especially made by somebody who is, you know, driving a driving force for women in business, women every day, women almost, you know, like what's traditionally been a man's world. You know, I just really love the idea of that as well. So I think it would be something like that.
A fabulous answer. Oh my goodness, it has been so much fun talking to you and going through your wardrobe, which you claimed at the very beginning was going to be very boring, but I don't think it's been boring at all.
Oh, that's so kind of you. Honestly. Honestly. Oh, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you did, please remember to like and subscribe on YouTube or give this a follow and a rating.